The forest of no return. The Virek scout vessel talon's eye pierced the Earth's atmosphere in silence, its matte black hull absorbing radar and light alike. Commander Tikar stood on the observation deck, eyes fixed on the planet's surface. Green, wet, chaotic, uncivilized, exactly as the archives predicted. Multiple biosignatures, reported analyst Dren. But they're scattered, weak, no signs of industrial activity. Tikar clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. Primitive, or post-collapse. His armored tail coiled tighter. Prepare the wrecking team. They landed in what the old planetary records labeled as Eastern Europe, dense forest, minimal atmospheric disturbance, no known power grids. The drop pod hissed open and 6 Virek soldiers stepped out, exoplates gleaming, helmets reflecting gnarled trees and mossy undergrowth. Silence greeted them, not the quiet of peace, but the silence of something watching. Thermal scans unstable, muttered Scout Revek, scanning with his visor. Readings fluctuate, almost like the forest is shifting. Focus, barked Tikar. Secure the area. They moved forward. Birds did not chirp. No insects buzzed. Even the wind seemed to avoid them. Within an hour, they found the hut. It stood on stilts of bone. Wooden shingles clung to its roof like scales. A chimney puffed thin trails of violet smoke into the sky. And there, beside a small garden of withered herbs and glass jars, stood a hunched figure. She wore a shawl of crow feathers, and her long gray hair moved as if it had forgotten the laws of gravity. Her smile was full of gaps. Her eyes were full of time. "Well," she said, voice raspy like leaves in late autumn, visitors from the stars. "It's been so long." Tikar raised his weapon. "Identify yourself, human." She cackled. "They called me many things. Which? Monster. Baba Yaga will do." Scout Revek stepped forward, weapon raised. "This is a military incursion. You are in violation of." He vanished. No flash. No sound. No smoke. One blink, gone. The Virex soldiers froze. "I warned you," Baba Yaga sighed. "But you don't listen, do you? Never do." "Thermal imaging lost," shouted Analyst Dren, panic rising. "I can't see her or Revik." Tikar's HUD cracked with static. Their high-band communication fell silent. Trees shifted positions behind them. Paths they'd walked were no longer there. "We should fall back," said one soldier, voice shaking. "No," Tikar growled. "We adapt. She's using atmospheric illusion, possibly holographic." "Is that what you think?" she whispered, suddenly closer. She hadn't moved, yet her voice was in their ears. Inside their helmets, a second soldier screamed, grabbing his chest. Vines burst from his armor, coiling around his limbs, dragging him into the soil. His screams turned to gurgles, then to nothing. "Two," she counted softly. They fired. Plasma rounds tore through the hut. It exploded in splinters and fire. Or so it seemed. When the smoke cleared, the hut was untouched. Not even a scorch mark on the wall. The old woman stirred her pot again, lazily. "You think your toys matter?" she asked. "Do you even know where you are?" Tikar hesitated. His mind, bred for logic and conquest, was unraveling. "We scanned this world," he said. "You are the only human presence." She nodded. "That's right. The last. The watcher at the gate. What happened to the others?" She stirred. The pot hissed. She looked at him, and her eyes glowed like coals. "They moved on," she said. "Ascended. Left one behind, to keep house." "And what are you?" "I am the warning," she said simply. "And the consequence?" Tikar ordered a full retreat. But the forest didn't let them leave. Legs of bone and flame. Panic had no place in a Virex soldier's mind. Genetically engineered, mentally conditioned, and trained across a dozen star systems. But as the alien warriors sprinted back through the same twisted forest they'd marched into, none could deny the growing pressure of fear clawing through their skulls. "No orientation," Analyst Dren muttered, stumbling over roots that hadn't been there moments ago. "The terrain's shifting. These paths weren't here." "Keep moving," Commander Tikar shouted, sweeping his plasma rifle across the trees. regroup at the drop pod. But there was no pod. Where it had landed stood a tree now, its bark pale, almost skeletal, with strange markings that shimmered with symbols not present in any Virex archive. Symbols that almost wept? That's not possible, Dren said, scanning desperately. I triangulated the coordinates. It should be right here. It was right here, another soldier murmured. She moved it. A deep, groaning creak echoed behind them. They turned. The hut was walking. Two enormous legs, jointed, feathered, and clawed like those of some monstrous chicken, extended from beneath the cabin. It moved awkwardly, yet purposefully, stepping over moss and root as if the forest bent for it. Upon its porch, Baba Yaga stood with a gnarled staff in hand, watching like a crow poised to peck out an eye. Have you lost something? She called cheerfully. Fire! Tika barked. They unleashed a barrage of plasma rounds, smart bullets, and arc grenades. The air shimmered with energy. Trees exploded. Ground cracked. But when the light faded, nothing had changed. The house still stood. The woman still smiled. And now something else moved. From the shadows beneath the hut crawled a beast, a cat-shaped creature of iron and flame, with eyes like furnace coals and a spine that sparked as it arched. It hissed, revealing a maw of rotating gears. The golem cat leapt. One soldier didn't even scream. Just a spray of blood and sparks as his exosuit was torn in half. His torso disappeared into the iron jaws with a crunch that echoed through the trees. 3. Baba Yaga murmured. Tika gritted his teeth. Regroup. Use formation delta. I don't think that's working, Dren said, wide-eyed. She's not a combatant. She's a force. Like a planetary AI. But ancient. Organic. Bound to the land. The cat leapt again. Another Virex was impaled on a tree, twitching as his armor fused with bark. Tika and Dren ran. No plan. No strategy. Just survival. Behind them, the house moved steadily, its feet stumping with the patience of inevitability. After what felt like hours, the two remaining Virex stumbled into a clearing. The trees gave way to a circle of standing stones, carved in spiral runes, older than any civilization the galaxy had ever recorded. The forest fell silent again. She's hurting us, Dren whispered, falling to his knees. Like cattle into a pen. Tika's HUD flickered. Then came a sound, low and melodic. Laughter, but not just Baba Yaga's this time. Children's laughter. Women crying. A man singing in a language lost to time. The air shimmered. Before them, shadows took form. Figures in faded robes, warriors in armor that looked forged from starlight, and eyes that shimmered with knowledge no living race should possess. Tika, Dren said, voice cracking. I think we're standing in the memory of Earth. A vision came, unbidden, painful, slamming into Tika's mind. Humanity, standing united before great monoliths. A world that burned and rebuilt itself over and over, until finally they transcended, left the physical world, left Earth behind. All but one, a guardian. Baba Yaga. You came looking for a weak species. Her voice echoed from nowhere and everywhere. But humans were never weak, only quiet. Dren collapsed, clutching his head. She's in my mind. She's in. He went still. Tika stood alone. The shadows faded. The silence deepened. And Baba Yaga's voice whispered in his ear. You may ask 3 questions. 3 answers I will give. Choose wisely, little invader. The rule of 3s. Commander Tika stood alone in the stone circle, surrounded by quiet that pressed like a weight on his chest. The shadows of the long-vanished humans had faded, but their presence lingered in the air, charged, ancient, judgmental. Baba Yaga stood across from him now, staff resting lightly on her crooked shoulder, a faint smirk tugging at her cracked lips. The iron cat prowled behind her, its gears clicking in rhythm with her heartbeat. You have 3 questions, she said softly. 1 for each breath of your kind still lingering in this forest. Tika's instinct screamed to run, but logic anchored him in place. Every fiber of his being, every genetic enhancement, every command circuit, told him to analyze, calculate, survive. He inhaled, What happened to humanity? She raised an eyebrow, as though amused he'd lead with the biggest one. They outgrew flesh, she said. Outgrew war, greed, even time. Some call it transcendence. They left this place, not by ships or portals, but by shedding what you still cling to. I stayed behind. To protect Earth. To protect you from Earth. Tikar shivered, though the air was still. He steadied himself. Second question, he said. Why am I still alive? She tilted her head. Because you haven't insulted me yet. The cat purred, flame flickering between its fangs. Also, she continued, because I am tired. And I hoped, just once, one of you might listen. Tikar processed her words in silence. The data made no sense. Ascension, transcendence, concepts that belonged to cults, not civilizations. He wasn't religious. He didn't believe in myths. But nothing about this place obeyed belief. His mind burned with questions. What was the forest? Could he escape? Could he warn the Empire? But there was only one question left. One that mattered more than survival. What do you want from me? He asked. For the first time, her expression softened. Her eyes, glowing dimly beneath her wild hair, blinked with something that could almost be sorrow. Understanding, she said, even if only for a moment. Before the end. He frowned. The end. For you, she whispered. For this dance. For every arrogant soul who comes thinking Earth is theirs to claim. The world shifted. Suddenly, he stood in the ruins of a vast city. Skyscrapers lay buried beneath jungle vines. Satellites blinked in broken orbit overhead. Oceans glowed with memory, not light. Then, flashes. Humanity's final moments. Not of death, but of departure. A sphere of energy rising into the sky. Not one human body left behind. Only her. Only the witch. Only the myth. And then, silence again. Tikar collapsed to one knee. Not from injury, but from comprehension. His species, so proud, so advanced, was nothing compared to what had once lived here. And he had walked straight into their monument, believing it a grave. But it was a warning. You asked your questions, she said, stepping forward. And I gave my answers. The stones around them began to glow. The trees beyond the circle bowed inward. No deals, he said weakly. No bargain. She shook her head. You're not ready for that kind of mercy. His plasma rifle, long dead, crumbled to ash at his feet. His armor followed. He tried to scream, but his voice was gone. Baba Yaga leaned in close. Her breath smelled of cedar smoke and memory. Last truth, she whispered. Your kind will never find Earth again. Not through space. Not through time. Not through force. She touched his forehead with her staff. The forest dimmed. And the next moment, he was no longer a commander. No longer even a Virex. He was a bird. A black crow, perched on the branch of a gnarled tree, looking down at a hut that stood on clawed legs. And in that bird's small, alien heart, a fragment of understanding burned like a star. The forest sleeps again. The crow sat silent on its branch, unblinking, staring at the hut below, where once had stood a commander of the Virex Empire, sharp of mind, armored in tech, voice like steel, now perched a black-feathered creature with eyes still too intelligent for comfort. Inside them flickered a memory. Not clear, not complete, but enough to ache. The forest was quiet once more. Baba Yaga swept her crooked porch, humming a tune older than stars. Her house, now lowered back to the earth, rested peacefully among moss and bone. The iron cat lay curled beside her cauldron, its belly glowing with a low red pulse, like a furnace dreaming. She paused mid-sweep and looked up at the crow. I gave you your chance, she said gently. The bird tilted its head, as if trying to speak. But you wanted conquest, not communion. Her smile was faint and tired. Still, you saw. A glimpse, at least. That's more than most get. The crow cawed once, low, hollow. Baba Yaga returned to sweeping. Stay as long as you like, but I wouldn't recommend leaving the trees. The forest exhaled, and the wind carried a whisper in a dozen dead languages. Each syllable wound through the leaves like a lullaby, soothing the trees, the soil, the ancient stones. Far above, beyond orbit, a second Virek scout vessel arrived. The Shadow Fang had come to retrieve its missing team and investigate the anomaly. "We have a signal beacon," said the communications officer. "But something's interfering with the data. There's strange encryption. Not ours." "Deploy drones," ordered the captain. "Caution protocol, gray level." The drones descended, and then vanished. No transmission, no wreckage, no feedback, just nothing. "Send a recon pod," the captain barked. Moments later, the pod approached the atmosphere and disintegrated. Not from heat, not from weapon fire, from something else. Like reality had simply refused to allow it entry. The captain stayed at the void on the screen, where Earth should be. "It's not there," the nav officer whispered. "The planet is gone." "No," the captain murmured. "It's still there. I feel it, but it won't let us see it." The crew grew still. Back on the forest floor, Baba Yaga sipped from a chipped mug. Mushroom tea, rich and bitter. The crow watched her, feathers ruffling in the breeze. She leaned back and looked to the sky. Stars twinkled between the canopy like curious eyes. "They'll keep coming," she murmured. "New empires, new machines, new arrogance." She took another sip. "I'll be here." The forest pulsed softly, and for a moment, the world around her shimmered, revealing the truth. That Earth was no longer part of normal space, no longer visible through physics or senses. It existed between, held there by will, by magic, by memory. A sanctuary, a trap, a warning. In a distant galactic council hall, a report circulated. Classified. Suppressed. Expedition 19. Contact with Sol-class planet. Archived Earth. Outcome, total loss. Recommendation. Planet is to be marked as a forbidden zone. Designation, Ghost World. Entry results in non-recovery. They never saw another human. Because there were none. Only her. Only the Baba Yaga.